Hello! This video is all about basically how to ensure data entered into your Access database is correct, i.e. validated, and you restrict it to certain types. It's an introduction video, so it should be a short one. Let's have a quick look. Let's start a new blank database, make it larger. Okay, now, as you can see, when you get your tables, you have certain fields. You can go into the design view, and well, we'll save it as, but yeah, just keep it as table 1. If we go into design view, you'll see the kind of types that it is. Okay, for example, the first one is an auto number data type. It automatically increases numbers and it takes a long integer format. Let's look at some other data types. For example, over here, let's call it currency. Okay, and that will then ensure that you are entering numbers. So I'll just call this currency, give it a name. Now, over here, if I wanted to put in A34, you see, it says the value you entered does not match the currency data type in this column. So by choosing the data type itself, you've automatically created a certain kind of like verification system to ensure that users do not cause problems by entering incorrect data. Then let's go over here. Let's take, shall we say, short text. Now we'll call it short text. That's fine. Oops. Little s extra at the end at the front. But now if we go to the design view, you'll see our short text, which we'll just change the name over there, and basically you can limit the size of the text of it. Okay, that'll be 255 characters. Let's bring it down to, shall we say, 3. So it's a simple one. And let's go back. It'll ask us to save. Yes, it'll say some data may be lost, because basically if you are, we're doing this at the beginning of creating our table, so it's not a problem. But let's assume you had already created a table and you had, shall we say, 255 letters in those fields. They would be now reduced to only 3, so you'd lose a lot of those. Okay, so just bear that in mind if you do changes later. Okay, so now we have our short text. Let's try and enter more than those 3 characters. For example, hello. Let's see if it works. It stopped at the first L. Didn't allow anything more. And as you can hear, the keyboard's typing away, it stopped. So that is also a way to validate entering of data into it. There's other data types. Okay, you can take, for example, yes and no. This is basically yes or no. Okay, it's nice to stick them together because sometimes spaces cause problems if programmers are trying to access fields. Okay, now what yes or no is, it's basically a boolean, which is true or false. So you tick it, it means it's yes, it's on. Don't tick it, it means no. Okay, so that's another way of validating it. So for example, if you wanted to create, shall we say, is customer currently active? Okay, you could have a boolean over there, yes or no. So that's also restricted. So people don't type yes, don't type no. Some would have small, some would have a big letter, and we would cause a little bit of confusion. So I would suggest that when we are going through there, we look at basically the different kinds of fields that you can use. Okay, there's all sorts of fields. Attachments can be files, pictures. Okay, hyperlinks would be a link, and then you'd basically have all these other extra types. Okay, so now let's look at another way of formatting our text to ensure it's validated and it's not entered incorrectly. Phone numbers and email addresses are typical kind of like examples. Let's start with a phone number. Okay, so let's give it a number and let's call it phone number. Now, the way we're going to do this is actually by using an input mask. Okay, let's assume you wanted to have the first three numbers as an area code, and that needs to be entered. So, for example, how we'd do that would have a backslash in our input mask, and then brackets, and then we'd have three numbers. Okay, and then we basically close it off. Simple as that. Okay, now let's try another type using a phone number, okay, where we need to specify how many digits and an area code. Okay, the way to do this is actually by using an input mask, and we'll switch to design mode. Okay, for our input mask, let's assume we are going to have an area code surrounded by brackets. Okay, now to ensure that the certain characters are coming in the number box, we need to actually have a backslash. So that's a backslash, and then that will ensure that our open bracket actually is shown. And then let's say it needs to be 3 digits. So, oops, the number sign, so 3 digits. And then once again, backslash, we close off our bracket. And then let's say we need 7 digits after our area code. Let's have our number sign, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's test it out. You need to save it. That's fine. For our phone number, let's enter in. As you can see, it needs 3 digits in the area code. So let's, for example, 203, and then 7 digits. So let's say 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I try to enter more digits, it doesn't allow me. So that has restricted us to entering phone numbers in a certain fashion, which is a very good way by using an input mask. There are special characters that you can use in input mask. For example, you can use AND symbols, which means it's a required character. If you put like a question mark, it's an optional character. You can have wildcard characters, which is the star. I would suggest you actually do take a quick look online, okay, for input mask special characters, and you'll find a list of them. Okay, but this is a very simple, straightforward way of creating a phone number. Okay, now we come to another type of validation which uses expressions. Okay, let's say email. Email is validated, some sort of text, then you have an @ symbol, then you have some more text, and then it's a full stop, and then it's like a .com, some more text. Okay, so let's give this short text. Let's call it email. Okay, now we go to our design view and our validation rule. This is where we need to be. Okay, click there, and it gives us an expression builder. This is actually quite a complicated topic, but we're just giving you a general introduction. So the first thing is we're trying to find it like what I said. Some characters followed by an @ symbol, some more characters followed by a full stop, and then some more characters. So we go to operator and then comparison. So we want to make it like a certain expression. So that and I'll just paste this in. But very simple, I'll explain what's going on here. We have the speech marks, which is indicating text. So basically, this is all going to be text within here, open speech marks and speech marks. Then we have our star, which is any character, is the question mark, which is any character. So we need these two. Then it's followed by an @ symbol that we do need. And then any kind of characters, then a full stop, and then any more characters. That's a very basic validation rule. So let's click OK. And validation text, in case we get it wrong, so enter a valid email. Okay, let's see. Let's go back. It'll ask us to save. It might say things like this. Don't worry, because we've already created a few fields. That's why. Yep. Okay, so email. Let's test it out to see if it works. So bob.com. Does that work? No. Enter a valid email address. Bob at let's say Windows Ninja. And then we have our full stop .com. It accepts it. So this is how we do data validation in Access. Let's go here. And for our phone number, instead of having them as the number sign, if we actually have them as zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then over here as well, we'll have them as zeros, 1, 2, 3. Bring it back, save. What we need to do now, is let's just delete everything. Okay, so 203. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're missing one. You see, it needs that extra character. So that's data validation for the vast majority of the simple basic tasks that will be needed. Hopefully this video has helped.